Should you give the avoidant a second chance, or should you walk away? It's a really tough question, and it certainly isn't easy. First of all, you're under no obligation whatsoever to take this person back or to give them another chance. If they've emotionally checked out of the relationship, they haven't been showing up for you, or they abruptly ended the relationship and shattered your heart, you are under no obligation to take them back. You can absolutely walk away with your head held high and say, it's just not worth the risk. But if you are dead set on giving them another chance, or if your heart won't let go, pump the brakes for a second and analyze the situation from a logical point of view. Ask yourself, does giving them a chance make sense? It's like turning on a light switch in your brain and you're turning on that prefrontal cortex, which is the logical, rational part of the brain. Is this person showing actual evidence that they are invested in change? Are they taking accountability? Are they working on themselves? Are they going to therapy? Are they doing coaching? Are they communicating with you? Are they showing empathy and remorse? Are they showing guilt? Are they opening up in a different way? Are they communicating their fears, their insecurities, and their feelings? If they are making actual change that you can see, if they are taking real steps towards working on themselves, there might be cause for hope. But if there is no evidence that they're doing any effort whatsoever, and they're doing the same old patterns, or they just want to sweep everything under the rug and pretend like it never happened, there is no cause for hope. It's only wishful thinking. There's a difference between hoping and wishing. Hoping is when there's evidence that something could change for the better, like them working on themselves. But when there's no evidence, it's simply wishful thinking. And wishful thinking is the recipe to get hurt all over again, because those same insecurities, those same attachment wounds, those same triggers, that same emotional unavailability is all still there. And it's inevitable that something in the relationship will trigger them again. Now, if they are doing the work and you can actively see that, that's still not a guarantee that it's going to work out, because they could fizzle out. They could go back to avoiding when it gets hard. That's why consistency is important. And if you do decide to give them another chance because they are doing the work, you got to make sure that they stick with it, because if they start to fizzle out, hold a boundary on that. Boundary being your limits of what you'll allow, what you won't allow, what you need, what you don't need, what you want, what you don't want, and what you'll tolerate. And you can simply say, working on the relationship, becoming more secure, working together and as individuals is a must for me. Without that consistency, without that effort, then this relationship isn't going to work for me. So I really do need to see that follow through. And without that follow through, I really do have to hold my boundary, the boundary I've set with myself, that I'm not going to put myself at that kind of risk. And then they can choose to continue to fizzle out or follow through. But ultimately, that boundary is with yourself and what you'll allow. And not holding that boundary is setting yourself up to get hurt again. And it's also breaking your own trust, because you're telling yourself that if they don't actually do the work and follow through, then you're not going to remain in the relationship. And if you continue to do so, you're telling yourself that you can't really rely on yourself. So it's important to hold those boundaries with yourself about what you will allow. But if they're doing the work and they consistently do the work and they follow through, they can change. I have seen that happen many times again. I have seen dismissive avoidance, fearful avoidance. I've seen them do the work and become relatively secure. I've worked one-on-one with many of them. And I've seen relationships go from that anxious avoidant dance to really healthy relationships that actually are something pretty darn special. But I've also seen them fizzle out and fail and really just end in tragic, heartbreaking ways over and over and over again. Reality is, I've seen them fail far more than I've seen them succeed. But I have seen them succeed. And the success is really conditioned on one important thing. Both partners are willing to take accountability for their own insecurities. Both partners are willing to work on themselves and the relationship. And both partners want it badly enough to follow through, to work on their own issues and get that relationship to a more secure place. When that happens, there's a great chance of success. But without that, it's just not likely to happen. And sitting around hoping and wishing that this person's going to change and they're going to see your value is a recipe to waste time and emotional energy into a person that's not putting it into you, making you more anxious, making you more insecure, and chipping away at your self-esteem and your self-worth. So, hold your boundaries. What you will allow, what you won't, what you want, what you don't. And those boundaries are with yourself about what it is that your limits are. So when the person is not showing up within your boundaries, you got to hold that and say, okay, this is outside of my tolerable zone. That's how you keep yourself grounded and respect your self-worth and prevent yourself from going through this cycle all over again. But if they show up for you and operate within your boundaries and consistently follow through, it can absolutely work out. But without that accountability and follow through and self-work, there really is no hope. Okay, so one more thing real quick. What motivates avoidance to change? Rock bottom motivates them to change. They have to hit rock bottom. Rock bottom is when the pain of the consequences of their actions is greater than the pain of self-reflection. Meaning, they have to really experience those consequences of their actions, and it has to be so painful that they're willing to self-reflect and change to avoid going through that pain again. Now, some people have a rock bottom that is so low they never hit it. Some people do hit it. And when they hit it, that's when the real change will actually happen. But when are they most likely to hit that rock bottom? When they're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. That is when they are most likely to change. The reason for that is when they're in their 20s and their 30s, they usually haven't experienced enough pain of their actions yet. And they can still easily hold on to the notion that I just haven't met the right person yet. And when I meet the right person, I won't feel this way. I won't feel the need to run from the relationship. Of course, they can change in their 20s and 30s. They're just far less likely to do it. But when they get to their 40s, their 50s, or even 60s, they're looking in the mirror, they're seeing themselves getting older, they're facing the reality of their own mortality, and usually after yet another relationship failure and the accumulation of all those failures and the aggravation and frustration and pain that comes with it over the decades, they get to the point where it's like, okay, yet another failed relationship. This is really, really getting frustrating and discouraging. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm part of the problem. What do I have to do to get it right next time? And that is when the rock bottom hits. And that rock bottom is more likely to hit after they've gone through a relationship with the person that really cares about them, loves them, and is consistent, that they pushed away, and they experienced that loss through no contact combined with the other factors. Whether they get there or not is up to them, and you still have to hold your boundaries, but that's really the majority of the circumstances when they do change. I work one-on-one with a lot of avoidants, both fearful and dismissive, and the ones that are really likely to change, the ones that really come to me, generally are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. So that's when it's most likely to happen.